Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
PM in Bamenda in the west region of Cameroon, same time right here in Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. A child that had gone missing for several days has been found in the northwest region. The 3-week-old baby was stolen from the mother in the locality known as Bambili in the Bamenda 3 subdivision and taken to an unknown destination by someone she considered as a friend. How was the child kidnapped? Find out in this newscast, and also we'll tell you how Cameroon has been ranked the 4th most insecure country in Africa and 14th worldwide. The information was published by Business Insider Africa magazine. Observers blame the high crime wave on the high consumption of hard drugs, rising unemployment and poor governance mechanisms of the country. Those are top stories. Stay with us for greater details. If you are just joining us, then know you are watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, and we are broadcasting live from our headquarters right here in the economic capital city, Douala. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. A mother's nightmare has come to an end after a desperate 23-day search for a missing baby. The infant was stolen from their home in Bambili, Northwest region, by a woman the family once trusted. Northwest Chief Correspondent Bostella tells us more.
For 23 agonizing days, Catherine lived in uncertainty, not knowing the whereabouts of her 3-week-old baby. The ordeal began on January 7, 2025, when 38-year-old Priscilla, whom she met at the Bambui District Hospital, visited her in her home. What seemed like an innocent friendship took a tragic turn when Priscilla disappeared with the baby. A formal complaint was then filed at the Central Police Station, triggering an intense search. Security forces tracked Priscilla to Bafut and then arrested her and recovered the baby.
That day I put the contract I gave, she said that she will not eat them. After past 12 to 11, 10 or past 1, she gave me 1,000 that I should go and buy juice. I go buy juice. Then I have 200. I buy bread and eat. After past 3 to 2 or 2, then she told me that I should go and buy stomach, gastric. On coming back,
okay,
the house was smelling. My head was thinning. My head was too big. I don't know. The woman left from my chest. Since that day,
Catherine is holding her baby 23 days after she lastly did.
I don't know what to say. Only God will bless the Cameroon government.
This case highlights growing concerns over missing persons in the region. Security forces say these incidents are not reported, posing a major challenge for investigations.
It's the first time for us here in our unit, but sometimes you can hear about it. But if the person did not come to us to complain, it's difficult for you to have certain information who can guide you.
The security forces say all they want is collaboration from the population for maximum security of them and their goods.
Now to one of our main stories. Cameroon has been ranked 4th most insecure country in Africa and 14th position worldwide. The crime index and ranking is published by Business Insider Africa magazine. Civil society actor Simon Pierre Mahen says the high rate of hard drug consumption and the ranking with the high rate of hard drug consumption, the ranking shouldn't be a surprise to Cameroonians. Innocent Aze tells us more.
Crime wave in the Republic of Cameroon has witnessed a sharp increase in recent years, with the situation chronic in the capital city Yaoundé and Douala economic capital. In a classification index by Business Insider Africa magazine, Cameroon is classified the 4th country in Africa with a crime index of 65.5%. Globally, Cameroon occupies the 14th position. Though not surprising to Cameroonians, a civil society actor, Simon Pierre Mahen, advances possible reasons why Cameroon occupies these positions. Many youths today are addicted to the consumption of narcotics, and you well know the effects of these hard drugs. Joblessness pushed some of them into this societal waywardness. Today, the populations live in fear with an uncertain tomorrow because they are surrounded by hoodlums. What worsens the situation is the way the criminals caught by the population and handed over to security forces for detention are quickly released. The next day, they are in neighborhoods continuing with aggressions on the population. It doesn't assure citizens that their lives are secured and raises questions whether security officials actually care. We are also responsible for the rise of insecurity because we do not denounce the authors, either because they are our neighbors or brothers, only because we are afraid they will come after us. While authorities strive daily to flush out the venom from localities in Cameroon, they reiterate that everyone should collaborate with security forces and to be protectors of their lives and properties first. Simon Pierre Mahen reminds that insecurity does not only stem from late night keeping. Today, people are attacked in broad daylight. On the Business Insider Africa magazine classification index, South Africa is ranked first with high crime wave, Nigeria second, followed third by Angola, before Cameroon on the 4th position.
Now to something else. You must have surely come across hawkers with a variety of cosmetic products and wheelbarrows walking around our markets or neighborhoods. Are you aware that the content of most of these products have been tampered with? According to dermatologists, most of these products comprising of body lotions, creams, perfumes are harmful to the skin. Malaglory spoke to a healthcare specialist and he explains to us the dangers involved.
A hawker's cart loaded with various cosmetic products, cleanser, body cream and shower gel. We are at Marché de Farm in the Douala Central Market, where this kind of hawking business is common, and also in other markets in the economic capital city, Douala. Most of these products, according to many, are expired or fake. And health experts say this can be harmful to the skin after use.
On peut observer des infections cutanées.
He says it can cause skin infection such as skin irritation, weakening of skin tissue, cause stretch marks and also skin cancer.
Grave, on peut observer des cancers de la peau.
He goes further to explain that some of the components used in producing the cosmetic have lasting consequences on the skin.
Leur composition, leur tolérance n'a pas été contrôlée, mais bien entendu, il existe des produits non.
This is because some of these items are used without control. For example, hydroquinone.
C'est que l'on appelle les corticoïdes.
Everyone is likely to develop the same negative side effects. Thus, they are advised to be vigilant for early signs such as
la sensation de brûlure au niveau de la peau,
burning sensation around the skin, or develop itches. Although it is difficult to identify certain counterfeit cosmetics, specialists recommend important tips to help spot out original products.
C'est de voir si c'est un produit qui est autorisé sur le marché camerounais.
He says you must be able to identify the authorization number, indicating that the product can be sold in the country. The product must also present all the different components used in its production.
Promis un travail de gardien.
Now we leave the Lithra region for the southwest region of the country, where inhabitants of Malingo and St. Pete in Boya decried the deplorable state of the road linking both quarters. The infrastructure, which was constructed as a secondary road, has now degraded. The numerous potholes found on the stretch is making circulation extremely difficult for users. Rex Afon takes us to this part of the country.
This is a secondary road in Boya, chief town of the southwest region. It links Malingo to Sampit.
The road is not very good, so we need government to make a hand help for us here. About the nature of the road is very bad. Sometimes when you leave the house, when you have already been looking clean, before you get to school, look like somebody that's coming from the bush. Dust. The nature of the road is very bad.
We are even using it during dry season because of no rain. If it is during the rainy season, we cannot ply the road. Only the trucks, even the trucks, they find it difficult to ply this road.
Using this road requires some level of bravery from inhabitants of this area.
There are so many armed robbers attacking people along the road.
It is really bad. You see that there are no street lights. It is dark, and we cannot ply the road in the night, even in the day as well. It's dusty, it's lonely. You cannot just, it's risky using the road.
Not only is this road risky, it has become a death trap for students.
During our Xmas break, a student was killed on this road. A student was murdered. So we don't pass here around 5 to 5, 6, 7 going upward. Around that time, evening period. Today I'm passing here because I just saw people coming from the farm. I just guessed that maybe people might be on the way. That's why you see me passing here today.
As the cries for help multiplies, the people within this locality hope that those in charge of structures like this get the work done in time so as to prevent more casualties.
Now to politics. Opposition leaders tell Elections Cameroon to communicate and stop manipulating public opinion. A reaction coming on the heels of Elecam's justification of the delay in the publication of National Electoral List. The president of the Electoral Board of Elecam explains that the delay is due to the destruction of Elecam website official by pirates. To politicians close to the regime, this justification is valid. Babla Jonathan has more.
In response to pressure from political and civil society leaders over failure to publish the National Electoral List, Elections Cameroon blames a pirate attack on the institution's website. Elecam's justification contained in this letter sent to different stakeholders is seen as manipulation.
Elections Cameroon should stop the manipulation and communicate to Cameroonians.
Opposition leaders question the timing of the response signed by the president of the Electoral Board of Elecam.
It needed that opposition political parties should start crying foul, even going to courts. You can remember that the CRM party took the Director General of Elections Cameroon to the Constitutional Council on the same matter. Why did they not communicate to Cameroonians before that it is because of the website being attacked that they have not published the national list?
Within the ranks of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, the reason put forth by Elections Cameroon regarding the non-publication of the National Electoral List by December 30, 2024, as stipulated by the electoral law, is valid.
Everybody knows that Elecam's platforms had an attack last year. Either their social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or their website, they had a serious attack. And with the situation, they could not publish any information on the platforms. Now that the situation is on control, they can publish, and they will do it, as the president of the board said. Now, according to what opposition leaders has been saying, it is their job, complaining, saying that this is not good, this is not, this, even what is good is still bad for them. Instead of going to the field and convert Cameroonians to follow their ideology or their program, they will spend time criticizing, and everybody knows the result.
The national electoral list is expected to be published in the days ahead.
And we're discussing on this subject detailedly in the second part of the news. Now, out of Cameroon, nearly 300 Romanian mercenaries hired by the Democratic Republic of Congo's government to combat Rwandan-backed M23 rebels in the east have surrendered to UN peacekeeping forces. Elsewhere, the last French troops have left Bamenda military base, which have been occupying for the past 17 years. Chadian President Mahamat Idriss Déby stated that Chad's military is prepared to protect the country from any form of destabilization. Lastly, in the United States, families mourn the death of at least 67 people who died in an American Airlines jet and helicopter collision. Asa Lucilengu with a roundup of these stories.
Nearly 300 foreign mercenaries, with many identified as Romanians, surrendered to the UN peacekeeping forces after being recruited to fight in the Democratic Republic of Congo. These mercenaries were contracted to combat the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels who recently captured Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Surrounded by rebels, the mercenaries chose to surrender to local UN forces. Local sources reported that roughly 288 European mercenaries, the majority being Romanian, crossed into Rubavu, which is adjacent to Goma in Rwanda. Elsewhere, the French military has officially handed over the last base in Chad during the ceremony held in Bamenda, as announced by the General Staff of both countries on Thursday. At the end of November, Chad abruptly ended its military cooperation with France, its former colonial ruler, leading to withdrawal of French troops starting in late December. President Mahamat Idriss Déby Itno, who has been in power since 2021, stated that the cooperation agreement with France had become entirely obsolete due to the evolving political and geostrategic realities.
Please join us now in a moment of silence.
Lastly, at least 14 people are still missing after a regional jet collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter over Washington, D.C.
Coming to the airport here, collided with a military helicopter.
Rescuers have removed dozens of bodies from the cold waters of the Potomac River, where the aircraft crashed and fragmented. The flight, which departed from Washita, Kansas, was on approach to Riga National Airport at the time of the accident.
And help each other out. We've been through things like this before, through tornadoes and floods and things, but it's really hard when you lose, probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously. And
officials state that there were 64 passengers on board and 3 Army soldiers in the helicopter.
The Trump administration says both were on a standard flight pattern.
And now to our sports page. Union of Douala will be in search of 3 points when they take on sister club Dynamo in the regional derby as the League One League enters day 10 this weekend. This is coming at a time when the clubs from the Northwest region, PWD and USA, have laid a complaint on the non-programming of their matches in the Northwest region. Smart Jikan Gabriel, our sportsman, tells us more.
Epic Littoral Derby will light up the annex of the Omnisport Stadium in Bamenda this weekend when struggling Union Sportive challenges sister team Dynamo FC in one of the top matches of the 10 encounters of the Elite One Championship. Union Sportive and Dynamo of Douala are meeting after both sides suffered defeat in the hands of Panther of Nde and Stade Rennais of Melon respectively on match day 9. Dynamo FC is however better positioned on the league table with 12 points and on spot number 9, and should the league end today, Union Sportive of Douala will be amongst the clubs to be relegated as they count 8 points on spot number 14. The other Douala team, Astro FC, will be at the Annex 1 of the Ahmadu Ahijo Stadium to take on 5th Azu Elite. Though the Bamenda clubs have requested to play their home matches on home ground, the officials of the league have still programmed the clubs out of Bamenda, with both receiving their opponents at the Mbuda Municipal Stadium. PWD will take on Aigle Royal of Mongo, while Young Sports Academy will welcome Colombo of Jan Lobo, who could go top of the league with a win over Yosa. In advance day 10 matches played in midweek, Bambutus of Mbuda humbled Gazelle FC of Gadwa in their backyard 2-0, while Cotton Sport of Gadwa tortured Victoria United 3-0. Elsewhere, Cameroonians in the diaspora have been making moves as the European transfer market closes. 31-year-old Jean-Pierre Same has been loaned to FC Saint Gallen by Como until the end of the season. Georges Kevin Kudu, 29 years, has extended his stay with Damak FC until 2026, while Junior Nana, 25 years, has been loaned to Italian Serie A side Genoa by Basic Stars.
Smart Jikan Gable ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is Sylvanus TIFUH, Special Advisor to Professor Maurice KAMTO. Good evening. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you, Immaculate, for inviting me here on set. It's a privilege for me to talk to the millions of Cameroonians who are militants and sympathizers of the Cameroon Renaissance movement, as well as militants of other political parties and the civil society that are really concerned with the political affairs of our nation.
The CRM party filed a complaint against Elections Cameroon about its failure to publish a national electoral list as required by the electoral law. It didn't prosper as the Constitutional Court sent you back to the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon. Later on, we had Abdurrahman Hamadou Baba, who came out to complain about this, and now the president of Electoral Board of Elecam, in response, says that the website of Elections Cameroon was attacked by pirates. That's why they were unable to publish the list. What's your reaction on this?
The very first thing that we need to notice that it is an avowal, it's a confession by the elections board, that is the president of the Electoral Council and the president of Elections Cameroon, letting Cameroonians to understand that the complaint filed in by the Cameroon Renaissance movement through the president, Professor Maurice KAMTO, was grounded. It had a legal basis, because if he come today to tell us that the list was not made available on the website because the website was pirated, it means that the CRM had every reason to have written a complaint against the Director General of Elections Cameroon, that's Eric Sousse. It's unfortunate that that complaint went to the Constitutional Council, which is vested with the powers of pronouncing the law, and in their usual tradition said it was receivable. This time it was receivable, unlike during the presidential elections of 2018 that it was irreceivable. This time it was receivable, but then they were incompetent to pronounce a judgment on it. So it's regrettable. But then, looking at the fact that other stakeholders like Abdurrahman Baba took to themselves to initiate a similar lawsuit against the Director General of Elections Cameroon, and it yielded fruit, I think that with regards to elections in Cameroon, it's a civil duty for every Cameroonian that feels dissatisfied with the process to petition the instances. But then, the Director General of Elections Cameroon decided to exercise some contempt towards the president of the Cameroon Renaissance movement. It's but normal, obvious, because let's say, given him that victory that the CRM had every reason to complain to file a suit against Elections Cameroon to them was like let me say throwing flowers at the CRM, that the CRM has won, whereas we were not going there to petition to win so as to make any euphoric claims about it. It's a civil duty for every political party. So like I said, we are expecting that Elections Cameroon would be frank.
Now, the president of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon says that the website of the institution was attacked, and that's why the national list has not been published. This is only coming after pressure from the CRM party, Abdurrahman Baba, and other politicians. Do you see some kind of manipulation, or let's say attempt to divert public opinion, or an escape route out of the issue?
It's a flimsy excuse, Mr. Babula Jonathan, because this is the life of the nation. Remember, Cameroonians have been in perpetual pain and misery, and they have of recent been vying for change. And just to get the Director General of Elections Cameroon and his counterpart tell us that the website of Election Cameroon can be tampered with. He will tell us that the results of any elections can also be tampered with, unless he's telling us that the results have never been published placed on their websites and all the like. So it equally tells us that there isn't any transparency vis-a-vis the Elections Cameroon and the public, because if you look even at the results of the 2018 presidential elections and other elections, we will ask ourselves, can those results be contacted online? Can we consult online to find, to get details of those results online? Because normally Elections Cameroon's website is supposed to be accessible to all stakeholders, diplomatic partners and all the like. Now, coming to a question, are we optimistic, first of all, that elections will be transparent, will be free, fair and transparent in 2025? We are not prophets of doom. We are of the opinion, especially those of the CRM, that change is something that is constant. If Elections Cameroon can, at this particular juncture, give us a flimsy excuse, it's an indicator that there is some kind of repentance. But then, they shouldn't do it in a mass form. We expect them to table an apology to the entire nation that we failed you at this particular juncture, rather than leaving a lot of saliva and a lot of ink to flow. I can remember some of the surrogates of the CPDM even took it as a trophy of war, which they won by saying that we knew that Professor Maurice KAMTO was going to have his complaint rejected at the Constitutional Council, as if Professor Maurice KAMTO was petitioning Elections Cameroon for his self-aggrandizement, whereas it's for the benefit of the entire nation, and even some political leaders of the opposition, which I even saw them castigate Professor Maurice KAMTO, saying that Professor Maurice KAMTO would not have done that. Other countries like in this and all the like do not have a unique electoral list, and they forget that Cameroon is a continent, and when it has to do with a continent, as they call it, everything that has to do with a continent, we have to be very careful, because Cameroon, since the introduction of multipartyism, has been one of those nations that elections rigging is so common, and when elections rigging is so common, it leads to a lot of skepticism about the credibility of any election that can be organized in the nation.
And how soon do you expect the list to be available ahead of the presidential elections?
Mr. Babula Jonathan, we are bearing just about 6 months to the presidential elections geared for October 2025. Don't forget that the technicians working with Election Cameroon, they are Germans. So the Germans have always been notorious for their sincerity. So we don't really know exactly what kind of German counterpart Elections Cameroon is working with that cannot really guarantee the security of the website. So we are only pressurizing, because it's our duty to pressurize, because he that wears the shoes know how it pinches. We are part of the masses that are suffering in this nation as a result of the confiscation of the wealth of the nation, embezzlement, and other social issues. You know, we want change in 2025, and we can only be on our knees asking Elections Cameroon to avoid chaos in 2025, because if those statistics are not available, it is an indicator that elections will be rigged, and we are taking the public away about it, because the consequence is the aftermath will not be that very palatable. So we are not professors of doom, like I told you. Professor Maurice has said it emphatically, that the mere fact that the Cameroon Renaissance movement want a change through the ballot and in a peaceful way does not mean that the CRM is ready to accept any injustice, because when injustice becomes a mode of life, resistance becomes a duty. So we think the soonest elections Cameroon would ensure the effective update of the website, so that Cameroonians, especially the CRM, that's very interested, because the CRM is very interested in knowing that elections will be free and fair. We have put a lot of our energies and resources. We've done a lot of sacrifices since the 2018 presidential elections, just to ensure that there is effective change in this nation, and not just the kind of change that will benefit particular individuals, but change that will benefit the entire nation, change that will leave tangible impact for posterity.
Now let's take this last question. Your party has launched a fundraising to raise a sum of 6 billion francs CFA for the presidential elections. What do you expect from Cameroonians at the moment?
Honestly speaking, that amount of money may sound so large, huge for Cameroon. We know exactly how the economic situation of the nation is. But if you look at countries like Senegal next door, you bear in mind that the campaign of Ousmane Sonko and Diomaye Faye cost them 35 billion francs CFA to ensure that they went through all the processes that are linked with the organization of elections, that is printing of gadgets, campaigns, and then also sending polling station agents to the polling stations, and you can name the rest. The CRM has just spoken of a moderate amount of 6.6 billion and above. That's 6.1 billion, you can call it. The militants and sympathizers of the CRM are certified with that amount of money, and they think that they can contribute that amount of money. Personally, in the days ahead, my own contribution as a member of the directorate is 600,000 francs. I can guarantee you that it suffers no problem. It will be available. And then if you look at this morning, before coming here, this evening, you find that we have got a good number of sympathizers who have already reacted. In the social media, a sympathizer, one of my friends who spent sometimes at the Economic Center prison, already chipped in his 400,000 francs. A member of my WhatsApp group, which we are together, sent his 5,000 francs. And many other persons are reacting in just within 24 hours. You can imagine how eager people are to ensure that Professor Maurice KAMTO effectively goes on and carries out his campaign during the 2025 rendezvous easily, without any strings attached to it, because I think they are considering him as the right candidate of the opposition, and they don't want to miss any opportunity of manifesting their love and concern and their support to see this nation carry forward.
MUTAGHA Sylvanus, TIFUH, Special Advisor to Professor Maurice KAMTO, who is the National President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Political Party. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for your keen attention. Have a lovely weekend, the company of more interesting programs on ATV. Bye-bye for now.